JJ, the CPA here. Hope you're doing well. So I've put together this video to talk about the EZ application for PPP. And I'll tell you what, it is just that. It is EZ. I think you could fill it out pretty quickly. Now, I'll let you know, I do have a playlist that is for the self-employed called PPP Forgiveness. And I've got a different way to walk this through with you today, but I've done a couple other videos where I've actually brought up the form on the screen. I did a funny one at 3 a.m. where I kind of hold the camera and show you how I write it. And the thing I know about the self-employed, and I'm self-employed, I also own my own business and I'm an owner-employee, but here's what I know about the self-employed. There's no two of you that are alike. And some, boom, this is what you need to know, and here's how I want to know it. So here's a way that's different from the other ways. And if you need any more information on anything else, here's what you need to do if you haven't done it already, and I'd really appreciate it. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. All right, hey, so we're going to do this, and this will be kind of funny, because this reminds me maybe when, and don't take it this way, but as I was putting this together, kind of reminds me of maybe when we were younger and maybe we were in, Sunday school class or, in elementary school or something to that effect, or in high school or in college where someone's really trying to show you exactly what it is. I was in Boy Scouts growing up and I remember doing a presentation like this. So not at all am I putting this together for anybody other than the sophisticated self-employed individuals that we are, but it's done in this manner. So the one thing to note is that you get to fill out the EZ. So I've just printed out here for you. You get to print out the EZ and use that, because on this you meet the classification of the first item here. So this is the PPP forgiveness application instructions. And it just says the borrower is a self-employed individual, independent contractor, or sole proprietor who had no employees at the time of PPP, because you're not an employee as self-employed, at the time of the PPP application, and did not include any employee salaries in the computation of average monthly payroll. Boom, that's you. That's the Schedule C. Now, just to be sure, when you're talking about self-employed, the independent contractor, sole proprietor, it does include the gig worker. If you're a single member LLC and you're filing a Schedule C, that includes you as well. And then this is the Schedule C, right? So this is your ticket to the whole thing. So this is your ticket. This is a Schedule C. It says sole proprietor. It's just for 19. But this is your ticket to get the PPP loan, which you probably know. And then this is the same ticket to get your forgiveness. And I'm going to show you here how it is going to be lickety split. I just threw in some numbers here. And on this Schedule C, right? So let's just say that the gross income is $60,000 and it kind of got covered up, but that's a $20,000 right there, total expenses, which leaves a $40,000 net right there on that magic, if it gets focused in, that magic line 31 on Schedule C. And I just was showing you that because, like, for the self-employed, this is really the only documentation that you need. You don't need to provide anything to show that you paid yourself, because there is no payroll. I got a video talking about that. So now we're going to take, and this is the part where, look at this, I put this together for us, and it's definitely just handwritten, obviously. No funky special graphics here, because you know what? You might just be in your car trying to fill this thing out because your office is in your car. One of the businesses, that's how it works for me. But I'm taking here that Schedule C that we just did, and I'm indicating that we have a $40,000 profit. And so we're taking that line 31 divided by 12, which represents 12 months, times a factor of 2.5. So when we take the 40,000, we divide it by 12, okay, $3,333 by a factor of 2.5, that's $8,000 $333. Boom, check it out. That's how you determine your PPP loan, and that's how you determine your PPP forgiveness on this easy application for PPP. Like, boom. So literally, what they want to see is this Schedule C, that line 31, and then you're just doing that calculation. So I've got the calculation that we just did, and now let's bring that over to the EZ. And really for the top part here, I think you'll be able to get through that pretty quick and easy. It's just your name, your DBA, which is just what are you doing business by, your business address, which can be your home. If you have a separate ID number, which you do, then you'll know, right? If not, your social and your phone number and who to contact you, your email. But really this is all going to be the same as what you put in on your PPP application to get the money. Then you just want your loan number, the lender number, so you'll get that from the bank. What was the PPP loan amount? So that's the amount that you got. What's the disbursement date? Well, typically it's going to be the date that you got it. The bank should and will let you know that exact date. And then the number of employees at the time of application. A lot of us may have put 1 thinking, well, it's me, but your actual answer needs to be 0. Even if you put 1 on the application, the correct answer is 0 because you're not an employee. And then employees at the time of forgiveness application, 0. Because you gotta remember, this video here is for the self-employed that don't have wages. That's how in the instructions for the EZ, we were able to check that first box because there is no employees. So you'll notice, and so far, none of this includes how much did you pay out to yourself. It's all line 31. Now, the one thing that's so key here, and I'm going to hold this down, the one thing that's so key here is the covered period part. And the reason it's so key is that you want to indicate on this application that you're electing the 24-week option. So on here, there's nowhere that it says I'm choosing the 24-week option. It'd be nice if they did, and maybe by the time it's all over, they will. But here's how you let them know you're doing the 24-week option. When it asks for your covered period, you want to put a length of time that is 24 weeks. So it just says, covered period. Well, the covered period starts when you got the money. So that's going to be the same as your loan disbursement date. That's when your covered period begins. Then you're just going to go out 24 weeks. So 24 times 7. That's what you're going to put down as your end date. That lets them know by putting 24 weeks time period, you're going with a 24-week option. Now, that alternative, just doesn't apply to you. It seems logical to think, well, maybe the alternative means 24 weeks. It just doesn't apply to you. So, if something doesn't apply to you, what I've always done is, I just will cross it out, might put an NA. But now let's get to the juicy part, which is right down here with the calculation. And I'm going to go through it really quick, and then we're going to come back and look at it. But on line 1, you're putting your payroll cost. Your payroll cost is this. It's line 31 divided by 12 times 2.5. So on line 1, you put your payroll cost, and at line 8, should just be the same amount, which is your forgiveness amount. But we do need to go through the rest of it. But really at the end of the day, line 1 should really yield the same amount on line 8. Line 8 is what's your forgiveness amount. Now that would assume that your line 31 at the time you got the loan is the same line 31 when you went for forgiveness. And how would they be different? Well, it may be that the line 31 that you used when you got the loan was a draft and you hadn't filed it yet. So the forgiveness amount, that line 31 does need to match what's being filed with the IRS. And yes, they'll be able to match it at some point from governmental agency to governmental agency. So, like I said at the beginning of the video, for some of us, I don't know about me, I do have a video where I have it nice and typed up. It's in that playlist where I have a PDF and it comes up as a graphic on my screen and I have things typed in red and all that good stuff. But for some of you, you know what? Boom. just show it to me in the handwriting, because this will be how you do it. So when you're looking at that payroll cost, right, just line 31 divided by 12 times 2.5, right? So that's $8,333. Boom. So the amount of interest and rent and utilities, right, it's irrelevant for you. Zero. Just put zeros down. And then it wants you to just add it up. So line 5 is just add up these lines, right? So boom, pretty simple. And then it wants to know, what is your PPP loan amount? Well, you'll know that because at the top you listed it. But the reason I put a calculation here is that, remember, the loan amount is Schedule C, line 31, divided by 12 times 2.5, which is the same as your payroll cost, right? So if it's the same line 31, it's going to be the same. So this is what is your loan amount. Now, line 7 is irrelevant for you as the self-employed, and do the math. And it's kind of one of those, it's like, well, do you need to understand it or just do the math? I don't think you need to understand it because it's irrelevant for you, but nonetheless, what you're doing on line 7 is just taking line 1 and you're dividing it by 60%. You're dividing it. I promise you, it's not a times, you're dividing it. You know, the old rules, it might have made sense that we would times it, even though you still divided it. It used to be 75%, now it's 60%. The thing to note, though, is you don't even have to try and understand line 7. You're just going to take your line 1 and you're going to divide it by 0.6, and as you can see, it comes up with this figure of $13,333. The reason it's irrelevant is that when you go to line 8, the forgiveness amount, it's the lesser of these line items, okay? So it's the lesser of your payroll cost compared to your loan, compared to your payroll cost divided by 0.6. So when you're looking here, right, 8,000 is your payroll cost, 8,000 was your loan. That funky, weird calculation is 13,000, but you're going to get the lesser of these three, which is $8,333, and boom, that is your forgiveness amount, and then you're done. Now, there is one page after this where you sign off and certify that you met all the qualifications. And as a self-employed, I don't know how you don't. Talks about the documentation, and your documentation is Schedule C, and you're done. That's simple. Now, went through it kind of step by step, but if you like the graphics and see more of a close-up, I try to do that just kind of homemade version here, but go to that playlist. It's PPP Self-Employed Forgiveness playlist. If you just go to the main page of my YouTube channel, you'll see in the playlist it right there. Now, if you are somebody that is not self-employed in the sense that you have employees, you can use the PPP-EZ forgiveness application, and I'll do another video on that. But right now, check this out. As a self-employed individual, you can hand that in anytime. Now, some of the banks are saying that they don't want to take them or can until August, but you can get all that done. See if your bank's taking it. There's banks here that are already taking the loan or the PPP loan forgiveness application. And for the self-employed, boom, boom, done. And then you don't have to worry about it. Now, you have plenty of time to get it in, but don't make this a procrastination in the sense of just check the box, because here's one thing to note based on where we are today. If you don't ever turn it in, okay, then it doesn't get forgiven. Okay, so you have to turn it in 10 months from the end of your covered period. Well, that's so far away. Why even try and worry about, well, what would that date be? We can just do it right now, right? Boom, calculate it out. So got a couple of different ways to go through that. Hopefully this was helpful for you today. If you made it till here, I know you got at least one thing out of this. And so all I would ask is that you subscribe. I mean, come on, I'm giving you great value. I really appreciate you listening and tuning in. And for those that need other assistance, check out the EIDL, which is the SBA.gov. And they don't have, if you haven't applied yet, they don't have the EIDG anymore. That's the grant. That's the 1,000 per employee up to 10,000. But they have the EIDL available. It's 3.75. You pay it back over 30 years. Payments are deferred for 12 months. Now, interest does begin to accrue once you get the EIDL, but get on the SBA website. It doesn't take that long to walk it through. I have a playlist for the EIDL, and I've got a specific one for the self-employed. And then if you're needing the PUA, boy, there's just a lot of questions around that. I think the simplest one, the safest one, which I'm telling you is different state to state, is that if you got PPP, then probably you got 8 weeks where you got some kind of benefit. Some states it has no effect, even though it's a federal program, that pandemic unemployment assistance. But at the end of the day, what I'm just saying is that if you need the assistance, then go get it. And if you haven't gotten the PPP loan yet, you can go to my website, jjthecpahelp.com. There's nowhere in there that I ask to know who you are, but I've got the PPP application for you to go and get it. I also have the application for the EZ with a link to the instructions and a lot of good other stuff for you. All right, hey, thanks for tuning in. And then don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me. All right, hey, you have a great day.